People, another Wednesday evening, yeah. Season 6, week 3, man, them chat. This week we've got a very special guest in the building, man. We have Mr. Sifu Brian Desir. Have I got that right, Brian?
Yes, Desir. But like I say, in St. Lucia, the family name is said as Desir.
Okay.
So
Desir.
yeah, Desir's good. That's English.
Desir.
Right?
You know, so I always thought it was Desire.
Hold on, man.
Desire would be English. Desire would be English.
Right.
Yeah. It's the same meaning.
All right, okay.
Yeah, Brian Desir, pioneering martial artist, master in Wing Chun and Kung Fu. You know, welcome to Man Them Chat, Brian.
Yes, man.
Yeah. You want to take it from the early days? Background.
From the early days. I just saluting you, you know. Saluting you, born in 65. At the time you start knowing what's going on, you're 5, 6 years of age, which is the beginning of Bruce Lee mania. You know, so I think the first thing we saw was Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris have a little sparring going on the TV, World of Sport. And then the next thing you knew, you had these movies coming out. Man's Dead, Enter the Dragon's release. There was a big mania there, you know. So a lot of us youths then was getting into martial arts, but I was really a boxing youth, to say the truth. You know, I got a Luton Irish in Hightown. At one point, I was training in Electrolux as well. My cousin, Alan Baptiste, would look out for me. In them days there, some man was training, licking the bags and ting, and you just learn the science, the sweet science of boxing. But as I got older, we took a trip to St. Lucia, Caribbean, and back on, a lot of people have had TVs them days there, back in the 70s. It was the cinema. And what are they watching? Films. So I see this movie and just the choreograph, the movement, and then way there, I was just taken like, wow. So I come back to inquire, started to buy magazines. I reach a certain age now, at 16, going to 17, I started to travel to Chinatown to study. And it goes from there. Yeah, I got to Chinatown, get on a train. Sometimes can say so now, but back in the day, sometimes you have to skank the train to make ends meet, you know? But we got there, I trained in the Chinese community and learned the thing properly, you know, and then bring it back. The long and short of it is, at the end of the day,
you didn't face any racism down there.
No, you had some Chinese guys that basically perhaps they felt it needed to stay in their community.
Yeah.
They weren't keen on non-Chinese people learning. But then you had the other guys that became good friends to this day, you know, people that you got on and communicated with and went out for a drink or something to eat after training. And we just got on, we just trained, we learned, you keep humble, even though you could look after yourself, just keep humble.
And this is the 80s, right?
Yeah, 80s, early 80s.
But
At the time I was still going up there, we had the OAU projects going on in Luton on Princess Street, just across the road from the police station. And that was like a kind of West Indian, Caribbean arts and craft and community project that was going on.
That was a rough thing, isn't it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was doing art and craft in there.
And all them guys.
Well, Miss Prophet was the senior person. Bob had only just come to Luton. Them time there. Bob Wall had only just come into Luton. Yeah. And I finished off them things.
I remember that. Yeah.
Say again, Mark. You sounded a bit.
No, I said I remember that place.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a good little project. And I'd do the day there, I finished there, get on a train. Go up and study, and I'll bust and sweat.
You were committed.
Yeah, definitely. But did you not even actually go to China as well? Right.
Some years later, I mean, before I even got out to Hong Kong, I was teaching. I was a British champion and stuff. In the days when I was learning, there was a lot of rivalry amongst the different teachers, because back in them days, most of the teachers were Chinese, teaching my generation, even a generation of instructor before me. You know, there were guys that were taught like maybe 3-4 years before I came on the scene, you know. And you mainly had these Chinese teachers at the time and all these different kung fu systems. Karate was already big within the population. Things like Taekwondo, these things were already established from the 70s, you know, whether through sport or whatever. But Kung Fu was only just opening out. The Chinese were very secretive, even with the way how they cook food. If you're not Chinese, they don't really want to show you how they make their sauces and anything there. It's just their way. So it was very exclusive back in the 80s. Definitely so. But yeah,
that's why I asked you about the racism. That's why I asked you if you if you found it easy. And I suppose I don't. I suppose you're clarifying it when it's not actually racism. It's about that closed thing, isn't it? It's about them being closed, and that's not the same thing. It's not the same thing as racism.
Sure.
Well, in a kind of way, yes, it is. It is.
Really?
My interpretation of racism is when you just hate somebody because of what they are, who they are. So he's black.
And you felt hate? You actually felt hate, did you?
No. Just, you know, like if you want to ask somebody a question, they say, well, that's not your business. If somebody wants to keep something to themselves, they don't necessarily hate you. Kind of thing. Even though they don't want to let you in. You get me? Closed doors, closed door. A hatred, which is racism, in my view, is a hatred.
Yeah.
I don't
That's what I mean.
Because he's black. I don't like him because I don't know the guy. But I don't like him. You get me? That's racism.
And you weren't feeling hated. You just felt like they were closing you out.
Close ranks, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, they want to keep their thing to themselves. I mean, I used to find certain Rasta man would be very partial towards white Rasta. You know what I mean? Some dreadlock.
Right.
When I was, you know, it's like, when am I coming out of the contact? You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
There are a lot of gatekeepers back then.
Yeah. Well, then going back to that, saying that Bruce Lee, when Bruce Lee was teaching, they were angry with him because he was teaching outside of the Chinese, isn't it?
Exactly so. He was
part of the argument.
Bruce was willing to teach people like us.
Yeah.
You get me? And he had to fight.
Sorry, one minute. Let me just mute you there, Steve. Go ahead.
I'm not taking the pill.
Go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
Yeah, he had to fight to have the right to teach outside of his own community.
Yeah, and he won, didn't he? That he actually
he
fought
won
and won.
In the end, a lot of them associations went out and opened up. Even Shaolin Temple now, you could book your flight. You could go to Shaolin Temple, pay your course and train for 1 month, 6 weeks, half a year. You can apply to go to the temple now and train. Back in the day, certain Chinese people couldn't enter there. You get me? So as time passed, the whole world is kind of opening up in certain ways. And I mean, there's still a lot of issues and a lot of things to be addressed, but things are not as divided as they used to be. You know what I mean? And things are opening up a lot more through sport, through many things. You know, things are opening up. So yeah.
Cool. So how long was you out there for?
When I was out there, I've been out there for the last 30 years. I've been going over there regular, most years. Sometimes maybe 2 times to the Far East. You know, I've missed a couple of years here and there as well. But I go out there pretty regular. But the longest stretch I've done out there was about 1 year, just under 1.5 years. I was out there, and that was all through the before and all through the first Gulf War. I was at mainly in Japan, mainly in Japan, but I was in Hong Kong, I was in Thailand, I passed through Korea as well, and met certain masters and trained and stuff, doing things. And, you know, I've had some fun as well. When I was in Japan, I was linked up with Sony and Tachyon. Those are like the two top reggae promoters in Japan. And I'd be a PA for certain artists that come into the island. I spent a lot of time with Bonnie Whaler, which was the high point in all of that, you know, Dennis Brown, all them guys there, the Aswad brothers as well, the man them from Aswad. Yeah. Some good experiences, some nice experiences, you know, and being in the mixing desk area when the big gigs were on, and then where there, man on the desk controlling, operating the artists and them, and just seeing how things kind of going them where there. As a dreadlocks, you know, gone out there to do martial arts, but being a dread in the Far East and certain artists coming over, it kind of opened a little door for me there through certain contacts. And the Rasta culture was kind of bubbling and yeah, it's kind of bubbling in Japan back in them days. And there's still, you got artists over there playing reggae music, a few Japanese dreadlocks. You got guys there going back and forth to Jamaica, going in Ethiopia and stuff, you know. Yeah, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. It was quite an experience to find that over there and actually work within it, you know. Yeah, so I wasn't totally on my own out there.
So you say Bruce Lee was the inspiration, yeah?
Partly, yeah. Partly. Basically, when I used to box, I'm not a man that liked to talk about me, you get me? But basically, when I used to box as a youth, from a very young age, I appreciate the science of fighting. Fighting is a science.
Right.
There's angles that you put your body in, you know what I mean, where you can relate to math. There's certain percentage of how much weight you put on the legs, you hit harder, and there's a lot of science in fighting, you know. And on, I suppose, the fundamental level, because I was a youth at the time, through boxing, I had that understanding. And then getting into Chinese Kung Fu, I think it kind of just took that to another level. I think my main appeal was, I mean, Bruce Lee is a big inspiration to everybody. But when you see Bruce Lee's fights, he generally mess up man quick. You don't see too much technique. It's just a flash. The guy's out of the picture, you know? Which is more kind of realistic than somebody doing Snake or Tiger or, you know? If you know how the movies go, a lot of the stars are named after animals. So, yeah, Bruce was partly an inspiration. Muhammad Ali was another inspiration and stuff. Being able to stand up and fight for my rights was another inspiration. I suppose being able to defend the meek was an inspiration. You know, and as a dreadlock, you've got to be strong spiritually. You have to be strong physically, you know? So all of them.
Brian, can I just butt in there quickly? Was there any other black guys in martial arts when you first come on the scene? Was there anyone else, or you were one of the first?
There's a few generals out there before me. You know, guys that I would look up to as senior. I've got some top brethrens, man. Michael Graham, he's in Aylesbury. The man there, like world champion, European champion, British champion.
You know,
the man, he can fit in a house. And them guys were before me, and a good inspiration and a good lift for my generation to come up and follow them, you know?
Yeah.
So wasn't Wing Chun the art that was done by Bruce Lee? Did Bruce Lee invent the Wing Chun? Or
no, Bruce Lee had his own thing, but Wing Chun is probably now coming on to nearly 300 years old. It's one of the later styles of Kung Fu.
Yeah.
And it basically came about because the Shaolin Temple was, you had various monks had become outlaws. So their thing now was to design this style to revolt against the oppressing force that had taken over the land, which was the Manchurians from Manchu. So Wing Chun was like a secret system for the people to revolt, kind of thing, you know, and gain back their freedom. But before it came to going into action, the temple or the base where they were trying to develop this style and build this army was destroyed. And the system was very underground for the next 150 odd years or so, until the likes of Yip Man kind of like took it on board in the turn of the century, last century. And now it's because of the popularity of Bruce Lee and some Donnie Yen movies over the last 10 or so years, it's kind of gone global.
Right, so he didn't invent it, but
no.
he did help to push it.
Style based on the Wing Chun philosophy, which is called Jeet Kune Do, meaning the way of the intercepting fist.
Right.
That's Bruce's thing. That's got everything in it: Wing Chun, boxing, karate, taekwondo, jiu-jitsu, whatever works for them.
Sorry, would you say, Norms?
It's Jeet Kune Do was his style.
Yes, Jeet Kune Do.
Mm.
Some people translate it as no exact style, but it's really the way of the intercepting fist. Yeah.
It's about using your opponent's strength.
Yeah, that's a part of it.
The power returning back. The true result of it.
Bruce's idea is to be like a shadow. So whatever that guy does determines what you do. You move to suit what he's doing, you know? So it's a way of moving to perfection. Whether you have to use your foot, whether you have to use your hand, if you have to use your head, whatever you have to do. But the way you go is the easiest and the most effective way. So you train it's deep really, because you train in many different disciplines to make the one. But everyone's style would be unique to suit who they are, how they're built, their strengths, their weaknesses. You've got to make everything you have a strength. Unite all of them qualities together.
So
Brian, you used to teach?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Or you still teach or did teach?
I still teach. I teach in Luton.
Yeah.
On a Tuesday at Venue 360.
Okay.
And Friday at Tuesdays at Inspire Sports Village. And on a Friday at 360. Yeah, I still teach in Luton and stuff. You know?
Yeah. What level did you get to, or have you gotten to? Because you can still.
Well, I'm a master. I'm a master of Kung Fu, which would be the equivalent of you know, anything to karate 6th to 8th Dan.
Well,
that sort of level there. But you know, I've been at this thing here near 40 years. You know, and when I say 40 years, that isn't 1 week show up and 3 weeks gone, or 6 months disappear, and
40 years.
I ain't stopped for 40 years. You get me? I've trained in Japan. I've been wielding swords and them things there when I was living in Japan. I've trained in Thailand, in Thai boxing. I've had fights in Thailand, Thai boxing rules in Thailand and stuff. I've been to Korea. And yeah. It's been a long journey.
Yeah, so going back a little bit, you did say that Bruce Lee.
Mike's a bit low, B.
Let me see if I can turn it up. You did say that Bruce Lee inspired you partly. So was it ever because there was like racist groups or any, especially in Luton, you know, Miggs was about, and other groups. I don't know if it was in your time when you started, but Was it ever because of racism and the bullying from people who don't like black people? Was that another motivation for you to take up the boxing and the kung fu as well? You said to protect the vulnerable, you know, defend them as well. But personally, was you treated any way because of your color in the early days, which was one of the motivations for you to become a master or start learning?
No, because at the end of the day, I've always been able to look after myself.
Yeah.
I'm a youth who is very, very, very accustomed to getting beaten by older youths, because I used to be a bit feisty as a youth there. I call a guy names and run and all and weird there. I was one of them.
Yeah, sound like me. That's what we used to do. That's what we used to do.
So I'm used to getting beaten by my elders and thing. I can look after myself.
Yeah.
From very early on, like I say, you know, I was doing the boxing thing from young. My father was very well versed in boxing. He would teach me certain things, how to stand, how to punch and stuff. You know, you had older kids. You had older kids when we were youths. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to go boxing in Hightown. I used to go air cadets in Hightown. And I even done a kung fu class in Luton under a man called Peter Waugh. And again, that was at the Jewel Hall in Hightown. And Hightown was a place when I was in high school was renowned for skinheads and them kind of youths there to be hanging around the pubs. And you had to have your eyes open when you used to walk a street, like if you was walking, I'm from Dalla Road. So if you're walking from Hightown to Dalla Road, even if you're going, because I had family in Stocksley and then way there, so I might walk through Hightown to go to Stocksley to catch up with my cousin and then way there. And, you know, you just had to have your eyes open.
Yeah.
You had to know where you're trotting, look to your, I mean, I'm going to London to study Kung Fu. Only a couple of years on from there, I'm going to London to study Kung Fu. Sometimes we take the tube and go to Brixton, down Railton Road, front line. You have your eyes open, you know? So that wasn't the reason why I took up martial arts, because I'm not the sort of person that's really into putting my hands on people, but, you know, if you try to put your hands on me, I put my hands on you. That's how it rolls. Yeah. But to say for any old stupid ass reason, I'm going to put my hands on the next guy, I would tell a man about himself, definitely. You know what I mean? Tell a man about himself. But to say I would go out there to put my hands on people, and at the end of the day, I ain't bragging, I ain't boasting. But I could probably go through a good 3-4 man single-handed, piss easy. Piss easy. But at the end of the day, that's not what I'm about. It's a skill that I've attained, but with that skill comes a lot of discipline and even more so responsibility.
Responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah. I mean, my teacher is the great Grandmaster Chun. That's who I flex with as far as a mentor goes when I go to China, Hong Kong now. Grandmaster Chun. Now, it's his father that taught Bruce Lee. Man. So as far as the Kung Fu that I'm teaching, I have a direct link. And, you know, when you're representing people like that, you got to take it serious, you know? Not just how you train and whatnot, or how you teach, but also the way how one conducts themselves.
Did you learn the language, or some of it?
I learned some of the language, yeah. But I've got colleagues out there. I've got African American and even a colleague here in England. They've gone deeper into the language side of it. You get me? Yeah. The language that I learned because I lived in Japan. Yeah. So my Far Eastern language, which is probably my third language, is Japanese. I speak a little piece of Japanese, enough to get by, enough to hold basic conversation. It'd be good if I have a translator around, but yeah, I can speak a piece of
Say something in Japanese.
I can speak a piece of Cantonese as well, but not so much.
Say something in Japanese.
Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa. I thought it was Chinese. That's hello,
No,
isn't it?
no. Konnichiwa is hello, you know.
Yes, hello.
Yeah.
But I thought that was Chinese.
No.
Okay, okay.
No. Hello in Chinese. Well, in Cantonese, I speak a bit of Cantonese. It would be Lei Homa.
Lehoma.
Yeah, but if you're local, you could just say Lei Ho,
Yeah.
which is like hello. How are you?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, there's such an art to martial arts, you know, Kung Fu, Wing Chun. It's something to be admired still. There's a lot of meditation within it as well, calming the
Focus,
body.
yes, focus. You got to
Mm,
focus and put yourself in the zone. You know, I always say to people back in the day when we used to fight in competition, you have a referee on to 3 people on the mat, like in a boxing ring. You got the 2 fighters and the referee, but then you got the audience, and sometimes you might be on the same ground level as the crowd, kind of thing. You're on a mat, and there's just people around, so there's a wall of people around you, and you're fighting in there. Or you might be on a raised platform or a ring. You know, it could be any one of those environments, but you can't see the people. You're in there, you're having it. You can't see the people. It's just you, and you don't even see the referee. You're just in a zone, kind of thing, and that's a focus. In martial arts, when you're doing martial arts, you're in a zone,
mm,
and you allow that to totally take over, where the skill can now come out. The skill can be expressed. You know, if you're thinking about something else, then you're not totally where you need to be at
mm,
in your mind to perform to your best. So yeah.
mm. So
Did
what
you
about
ever do? Did you ever do something? Did you ever do
bro?
Central Power?
Dude, say that again, bro.
Did you ever do Central Power?
When you say central power, you mean like chi energy?
Your chi, yeah,
Yeah.
and breaking objects.
I'm very well versed in chi. Lie down on
Right.
nails, walk on hot coals.
Wow.
Yeah. Breathing, and controlling the breathing.
Mm,
Yes.
There, it's a good thing because on the health front, if you have good chi, you probably find that you very rarely suffer from flus and colds, or if you was to tear a muscle or break a bone, you'd probably heal faster than
mm,
the average person. But what I used to do in my classes, I used to take the group through the breathing exercises. You kind of breathe in through the nose, breathe out through the mouth, you control the breath and
Right.
stuff.
I'm talking the chi that gives you the central power, the power of generating, and the meds, direct chi to the strike that you can penetrate through. Like if you
Yeah,
hit an object.
yeah. And like to say, as an example now, to break a brick or
Yeah.
or to break something without touching it.
Well, touching it, but it's the chi that's the control power that you bring within from beneath.
Yeah. That is actually a part of Wing Chun. But
Yeah.
my first teacher in Chinatown, he was very well versed in some might call it iron fist, some may call it iron shirt.
We all have the chi's back, the naturalization of control.
Mm.
You have that control on
Well,
the strike.
everybody's got that chi,
That's right.
and the chi centralized within your stomach.
mm.
Right.
That's where it sits. But some people just, when they say adrenaline.
Well, it's like this. The way I can interpret it, when you see an incident, you can't believe what you do when you do it.
Exactly.
You might lift up something, but when you with the scream and going, your chi is what making you be possible to do that.
Mm.
And that's how the control. So when you strike, right, it's right at the end of it, the chi generates through the body, right?
It's traveling through you, yeah, like electricity would travel through a piece of wire. That's right. That's right.
Can I ask, what other instruments can you use as well? You mentioned swords, nunchucks, and
my main weapons would be, we have these choppers in Wing Chun that we use. They call them butterfly swords. Oh, yes. They're like meat cleavers with little hooks on them, so you can change the grip. You can hold it short along this part of your forearm, or you could have it out as a blade kind of thing, yeah? And you block and strike simultaneously. There was a great samurai warrior called Miyamoto Musashi. He wrote a book called The Book of Five Rings. It's very famous. He used to use two short swords, and he beat many great warriors in his time. I think with the Wing Chun swords, it's very similar to what Musashi was doing. You use one to defend and one to strike. So it makes you a little bit more effective, gives you an advantage on a guy that has the one sword. If you know how to step in close, it gives you an advantage against long things like spears. And so I use them butterfly swords, probably one of my best. I also use the fork-like daggers.
I like the trident looking daggers. Yeah, the 3 forks, is it?
Yeah. But they're short, and you spin them short, and spin them long again. They work a bit similar to the butterfly sword, only they're not for cutting, they're for like hitting and stabbing. So I use them quite proficiently as well. I use Chinese sword, I can use Japanese sword, I can throw the stars, I can use the stick, the staff, the spear. I probably have about 7, 8 weapons I can use on the shelf. But the butterfly swords would probably be one of my favorite. And I'm quite proficient with the samurai sword as well, because in my time in Japan, I was doing a lot of one-on-one studying that, mainly a system called the Ido, which is all about drawing the sword to make the kill rather than to duel with it, So that's quite good as well. And good fun. A lot of focus, a lot of meditation involved in it.
So Blaps, would you say Luton has quite a big reputation in the martial arts? I'm thinking of like men like yourself, but I'm thinking of Blaps and Hiram John and Willie Thomas, and then his son now, and there's quite a few names. I probably missed out a few there as well.
There are lots and lots and lots of very talented individuals in this town.
Yeah, why do you think that is then? Is there any specific?
Well, I think that wherever you go, you're always going to find a multitude of people that have certain potential in one area or another. Wherever you go, you mentioned Hiram John. Hiram John was always a good sportsman. A bit like myself, as in wherever he venture into, he's going to look to take himself as far as he can go. He's got that. Another Luton man that's like that, you mentioned him, is Willie Thomas. He's a worker, he's a driver, he's a very, very positive guy, very, very talented martial artist as well. And his son, is my little cousin, Jordan. He's another one coming. There are so many. There's an old, well, I don't want to say old because she might wring my neck, but a lady, Roslyn, she used to teach Aikido at the Polish club, and I think she was teaching in Marsh Farm. Very talented lady in Aikido. That's the system you see Steven Seagal chucking a lot of the time in the movies, like a throwing art, where you use somebody else's force and strength. There's so many. Maddie Holmes, Jiu-Jitsu. And I get on quite well with the majority, those that I know. There are people in this town that are good in martial arts that I don't know as much. Glenn Lobo was a maestro. He came over here from Indonesia, and his system was Pencak Silat. I do believe he's still around. Yeah, there's a few people around, man. Luton got a lot of talent in Luton.
Yeah, have you heard of Seafood Blaps?
I taught your Seafood Blaps.
Okay,
He's a prodigy from my school.
Yes,
so,
Blaps.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you know. Yeah. There's people in.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. Yeah, I've just noticed there's a lot of black men from Luton who've gone quite high up in this martial arts world, innit? Just to name a few. Yeah. I was just wondering. I was just wondering if there was a sort of link, you know.
Well, different. If it's a system from Japan, that's going to be a within a association, and if it's Taekwondo, that's from Korea. That again is going to have its association. It's going to have its association here in England, and whatever association that is, it's going to have its link to the Far East.
Yeah.
So
you've got your own organisation. Do you want to give us a little bit of insight about your organisation and what it's about?
Well, we got school in Luton, in Bedford, just outside London, Boreham Wood. But I have members that flex with members from the past in London. We're in Dorset, we're in Farnborough, we're in Cornwall, we're in Devon, sort of thing. But these guys are instructors running their clubs. They're under my flag, kind of thing, you know. I get to see them maybe 3-4 times a year, or they may come down this end. I might go over their way. We all train the same. Obviously, every instructor is slightly different, kind of thing. And Wing Chun's the main thing that we do. But some of the guys have got some of their own angles that they put into their workshops as well. Some of the guys do a little bit of Tai Chi or a little bit of breathing, meditation, and then things there with the workout or boxercise, you know. They blend it to suit themselves. And obviously, when you're teaching anything, you really want to suit the people that you're teaching as well, like call them your clients. You want to work and do stuff to suit their needs. So yeah, we've got a few clubs, and like I say, we get together about 4 times a year. We have little conventions, and we all train. Everybody gets to meet up and train with each other, and then we're back to our own neck of the woods and we carry on. Sometimes we have annual trips to Hong Kong and stuff. I take the guys out there to train with the top man in the East, which is always a fantastic experience. So yeah.
Would you like to name some of the organizations? I know you got East Anglia, Wing Chun.
Well, that's us. That's us as a whole, as a
Right.
collective. Yeah. That's us as a collective. So yeah, like I say, Tuesdays we're at Inspire Sports Village from 8:15, and Fridays we're at Venue 360 from 7:30. And we also have a Facebook page. It's just EA for East Anglia, and then just Wing Chun Points of View.
Points of view, you know.
Points of view. So that's basically a little Facebook page where me, the guys, and some of our friends and associates, we can just go on, share videos, we can talk about things, discuss techniques, whatnot. Just a rallying point from far and near, at home and abroad. Different friends, colleagues, and associates can come on and just share their views, basically, which is why we call it Points of View.
Okay.
Can I ask, how many youngsters do you train? Young, like
you know, I want to actually start teaching from the age of sort of 10 to sort of 16, like school leaving age.
Yeah.
I really want to start taking on kids that young because they're the future.
Mm-hmm.
The kids are the future, and you know, you have people sort of like in their late teens and their 20s upwards, mainly sort of like 25, 30 upwards, the majority of the members. But the thing is like I say, the kids coming up are tomorrow's people.
Mm.
The whole thing is to carry the thing to a next generation, a new generation. It's hard because if I was to say to you, all right, hit this bag, or kick this pad, and you're gonna thump it, yeah. And over time of thumping it, you develop, you get stronger, you get better, you get more balance, and the technique gets better and better and better. But Wing Chun is a very advanced form of fighting. With Wing Chun, you learn how to read the guy. And just, well, I suppose you could just lash out. But no. With Wing Chun, you got to have a cool, calm. It's almost like being a gunfighter. You're sitting in front of a guy who's going to draw, and you're going to draw.
Mm.
But you got this cool. You're going to draw a millisecond after he makes that move. So his brain sees you and freezes, and you get him first, even though he moved first. Kind of thing. There's a science to it. A cool, cold kind of frame of mind. The Wing Chun teaches that. There's a lot of, like I say, science of how you use your body, with technique and stuff. And I think a lot of instructors lose their way because they try to explain too much too early. You've got to sort of like get a balance of teaching something that is so deep, you know what I mean? It gets so effective, but needs to be done to a certain level to get the best out of it. And so people struggle to teach kids because kids have a lesser attention span than, let's say, later teens, adults. But what I've done is I've devised a system that works with the younger age. So that's one of the things that I do want to do, and I'm encouraging all the instructors under me to more so start looking at bringing the younger generation, tomorrow's people in.
Maybe if more youngsters.
So 1 minute. Go ahead. Speak up, B.
If more youngsters like learn Wing Chun and other martial arts and stuff, maybe it's they wouldn't pick up the weapons that we hear that they're picking up out in the street.
Yeah, maybe less violence in the street.
And as well as
the whole thing is
teach them discipline as well, control.
Yeah. I would say the whole thing is to give them something to occupy them with.
That as well.
They ain't got time to be on the street.
Mm.
You get me? If you got time to be on the street, you might be on the street. Maybe you don't go on the street. Maybe you sit on your bed on a computer game all evening.
Mm.
Maybe you leave school and so it becomes all evening, all day.
Mm.
It's just good to get out there, isn't it? And obviously, if they can look after themselves, if they can focus to do that, to learn something like Wing Chun, then they can focus to achieve other things in life.
Yeah.
I've had a few youngsters in the school before now, struggling at school. And we've, a couple of kids not too long ago went off to university.
Mm.
They had difficulty with focusing and all the rest of it, but it just kind of helped them to get their heads down, and they've moved on now.
Sticking with that, sorry, Brian, sticking with that, what advice would you give the youngers coming up as a man who can do the biz?
At the end of the day, it's always going to be a little bit difficult for people. But when I lived in Japan, you had American guys, white American guys, white Europeans, one or two black people like myself. There's even a few dreadlocks from Jamaica and team, doing music and them sort of things out there, trying to start their career there because you had a bit of a reggae market. Getting back to what you're saying now, it's difficult for them, as it's difficult for many of these youngsters being in this society and sometimes feeling a little alien in the society. It's difficult for them. But if you have a skill, if you have a potential, then you've got a key, especially if that potential is in demand. You could be as black as the ace of spades with yellow spots all over your face, but if you can dribble that football past a team of men and put goals away. I'm sure that a team like United, if they saw what you was doing and you was available and they could see you could score them goals for them, they're going to have you. So if you've got a potential that can meet the needs of the big apple, there's a way.
How many females have you taught?
I've had a few. A few good girls. Not as many as I would like in camp, and over the years we've had a few senior girls. In school right now, there's about 1, 2, 3. There's only about 6 or so in camp. But yeah, we'd like to see more. In fact, probably more, because there's a few young kids as well in some of the other branches. I would like to see more girls get involved. It's a bit difficult sometimes because they can feel a little bit intimidated when the gloves come on and then way there, when people are sparring and stuff, or if like living in Luton, Bedfordshire, we have quite a strong Muslim community. So again, the girls within the community, it's all a bit kind of awkward, them training with guys.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, well, haven't you got, or could you train someone up as a female to run the female classes?
There is one person here, but then that would be the way forwards, really. That would be the way forwards. We've had that before. Unfortunately, that sister passed away some years ago. But we did have a class. That class used to run on Downs Road, in Hilltop Court.
Okay.
Social room. And for a time, we had a women's class that used to run. Yeah. So hopefully we'll get something like that going again in the foreseeable future. The main thing is, I think for most of us that are doing things like martial arts or football, whatever it is, it's the health and the fitness. People need to look after their health. Your health is your greatest asset at the end of the day. The most valuable thing you have is good health. And so I think that's the main emphasis, really, helping people stay healthy, helping people stay fit, getting kids out doing stuff, activity, and even adults, even people, 50 plus, 60 plus, you can still be doing that little bit of exercise to keep the cholesterol down, to keep that circulation moving, open up the lungs, do a little cardio. It all helps and adds to quality of life. So in that respect, it's a good thing,
Yeah.
Definitely.
Anybody else have any questions for Brian?
So none of you guys done martial arts?
Do you know, as a youth, I used to do judo, and a couple of years back, I did a bit of Wing Chun. And I enjoyed it. I'm not going to lie. I really did enjoy it. But the guy I was teaching, he was up by, not 360, but there's a school up there. And he got a hall up in the school. So I was there for a little while. But I wouldn't mind going back. I would like to go back. Because it's calming, isn't it, as well?
It can be.
Yeah, it's calming.
When I was at school, I used to do
one at a time.
When I was at school, I used to do Shaolin with Robert Simpson.
Yeah, I know Robert. Yeah, I know Robert. And I think the first time Robert did fight in competition, it was me that put the show on.
Okay.
Yeah. Them days you used to roll with a master called Donnie Sue.
Donnie Sue.
Donnie Sue
used to break bricks in front of us sometimes.
I see Donnie Sue in town one time, right? Hammering 6-inch nails in a piece of wood.
That's right.
In the town, just outside the market. He just stood there. He just come there. And no one even asked him. He just come there with a big piece of wood and just started to lick these nails in the wood. And he had a massive crowd around him. He was a strange guy, man. He used to wear the headphones on his head, but he didn't have the headphones plugged into anything.
Is that right?
There was no Walkman. There was no Walkman. He just had the headphones on.
Yeah, I remember Donny.
Yeah. And then man is
Yeah.
still around. Are they still around?
No, unfortunately, he died. He was in Greece and he died of some cancer condition.
Oh, okay.
Which unfortunately,
Yeah, but I'll never forget that. I mean, licking the nails in the wood, man.
right, he actually achieved the world record.
Yeah.
In the same sort of thing. Yeah, slapping
Brian, you can do them thing there as well.
Yes, slapping the nail into the wood. No, that's not one of my specialities. But I can do the inch punch. I can do the bed of nails.
Yeah.
I don't get the time to condition for that sort of performance anymore.
Yeah.
But I've been down that road. I've done them demonstrations. I used to demonstrate on St. George's Square many years ago. Back in the 80s, used to demo in St. George's Square. I demonstrated a couple of times beside Donnie Yen. I've done demonstrations beside the Shaolin monks in Excel Arena in London and stuff. So yeah, I've done them sort of things. Lie down on nails, have two blocks on either side of my head, and man break that with a sledgehammer.
Wow.
You know? That's where your man's talking about the internal, the chi side of it. Yeah. I'm quite well versed in it, but I just as you get older and you get certain other commitments and responsibilities in life, you don't have that time to train as much as you would want to, and so you got to sacrifice certain things, you know. And that side of it, I've kind of stepped a little bit away from. And more the standard stuff that I teach and pass on is more the stuff I focus on today. So what sports have you guys been into then? I can't be the only person that exercises. Come on, only for black man. We're athletic people.
Yeah. I used to do athletics still back in the day. That was my thing. Originally.
Okay.
Yeah, the runner, 100 meters, 200 meters.
Yeah, man.
And maybe 1500 if I felt like it. Yeah, back in the day. But yeah.
Long distance running back in the day.
Yes, sir. Go on, Gavin.
Long distance running back in the day.
Okay.
Way back in the day.
I used to run up to about 7-8 miles. Probably, probably the longest stretch I've ever run is probably 10 miles. But I used to run before fighting in competition, like just stamina work, just going across country and run a few miles. That is such a good exercise, especially for your lungs.
Great for your lungs, good for your head.
Your arms are going. It's just good all round, really. I think the only thing that beat that is swimming.
True.
Swimming is another good exercise.
True. What I found with Wing Chun, like I said, I didn't do it for that long. But what I found with it is that I got mental health in it, so my anxiety or my paranoia and that was quite. Wing Chun did it good. You understand? It made me feel it's not a scared thing, but the fire. Do you know what I mean? That fire that's in you, control it and use it for.
It will ease tension.
Yeah.
Definitely so. It will ease tension. You will focus. I mean, for me, sometimes you might open up a kitchen cupboard and a jar of something drop out the cupboard and you just catch it one time. You know what I mean? You get them reflexes. You get that inner calm. I think after many years of training and focusing in front of somebody, reading their moves, and after a while, I think you do gain a kind of intuition as well. You know, it is quite deep, but it's down to, like anything in life, what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it.
Yeah.
Kind of, you know. So, yeah.
Seafood Blaps asked a question, not really on the subject still, but what do you think of the Knife Angel coming to Luton?
The Knife Angel.
Yeah. I think Cy
I don't even
Philly's
know
in
what the
charge
Knife
of
Angel.
that. I think he's an angel they've made out of knives that have been taken off the street. And is that right, Blaps?
Yeah, they've made a figure
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
out of thousands of knives
Yeah.
that they've taken off of the street and has been handed in through knife amnesties.
Okay, in this town, knives handed in this town.
No, it's not originally from this town. I think it's up
All
north
over
they
the
did it, but they're moving the actual Knife Angel itself around the town, around the country.
Yeah, it's coming to Luton, I think, for a short time.
Yeah, I think Cy Philly's in charge of that, isn't he?
This is the first I'm hearing of this. It's interesting at the end of the day. You know, it's weird. I think you want to kill this knife crime situation. I think you got to work with the kids that are young that haven't gone down that road yet.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, how do you reach them? How do you speak out to them? How do you give them a direction where they can turn away from that and go a more positive, a more realistic way in life? Because I can't see how these boys are really prospering and getting what they hope to get out of life by ending up in half of the drama and trouble they find themselves in. The rivalry, the violence, the outcome is just so non-productive. It's getting that message across, isn't it? But they need to knuckle their heads down from a very young age while they're at school. They need to make their education years count. Yeah. And try to build off of that, really, you know what I mean? Making a statue out of knives and passing it around the place, will it help?
Not really.
What do you think? Do you think it'll help?
I don't really think it would help. All it will show is the amount of knives that have been taken off the street. But you know what I mean? But it's not gonna cure the problem.
Right.
So this is it.
Yeah.
Might be a wake up call. Might be a wake up call for one or two people.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, I think it highlights
rare. Like, wow, look at that.
Yeah, it just highlights the situation, isn't it?
Yeah, food for thought, innit? Thought provoking, you know?
Yeah. That's art, innit?
Might trigger something in somebody.
Yeah, that's art, innit? Really.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay, we're gonna be wrapping up soon. Can I just ask you a question? Tell us something about yourself that no one don't really know. I know you're a staunch Luton Town supporter, but tell us something about yourself.
Yes, I.
Yeah, man, of course. What do you mean?
That's why I saw Brian. I ain't seen Brian for a long time, for years, and we buck up at Wembley.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, as some of you know, my hometown, where I'm at right now, I'm only minutes walk away from the ground. So I've always been in this Dalla Road near Bury Park area, not too far from Kenilworth Road. Obviously, I've grown near the ground. A lot of my friends were into football. Even Hiram John, we mentioned him earlier on. He was part of Luton Town once upon a time. Liam George, them guys as good as family to me. We grew up with Mitchell Thomas.
Yeah,
he was in the team as well. So we grew up with people that made the ranks of Luton Town FC. I support the team, but I'm not really a bona fide Luton Town supporter. My team would more be Man United, believe it or not.
Don't say that, Brian.
But yeah, you know, I mean, Luton's in the Premiership now, and I'm sure I'll be going to certain matches. So don't be surprised if you see me again wearing an orange top hat.
Yeah, I mean, you're a man who used to see about the town quite regular. I haven't seen you around for a good while now.
No. C4B is more a family man these days. And like I say, I'm teaching. I take it very, 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 very serious. I mean, I've written a book. I'm an author of a book. I've put DVDs, training DVDs and stuff out in the past.
Okay, what's the name of your book?
The Wing Chun, Art of a Warrior. So yeah, you know, I've got a book. I should have actually brought one out here to show you guys today. But yeah, you know, I'm kind of busy, bogged down really. And what I really want to do in the near future, foreseeable future, is get back into doing stuff with the community. Right. So yeah, I'll be out there. I'll be looking for them youths, give them some direction, you know. Mm-hmm. Definitely. So
my last question, it's 8 o'clock now, so we're gonna wrap up anyway. But I know you're a sparky as well, innit? You're an electrician.
That's exactly right.
Right. So how much time do you actually get to train? I know you keep classes, but that's teaching.
I had to do something else to ensure that I could take care of things that need taking care of in this life, responsibilities, kids, and plus, I had things back home that I needed to do, and there was one point where I may well have gone and made my life in St. Lucia. So I needed to have a solid trade outside of being able to teach people health, fitness, and self-defense. So that was why I took on the electrical role. And then obviously working in the field is the only way you're really going to have the potential to be able to go out there and do a trade. Yeah. So, but I'm basically, I would say now I'm really looking to be more of the martial artist again, because doing that physical work and then actually training people and performing in front of them is very, very difficult. They're both physical. You're doing one in the day, then one in the evening. It's just breaking you down. I'd rather do one full time than two.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, it's been a pleasure, guys.
Yes, Brian. Give thanks, brother.
All right. So, yeah, we're going to wrap up now, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for coming in, bro. Much appreciated, man.
Yeah, you're more than welcome, man. More than welcome.
See you soon, bro.
When is this statue of angel thing coming to town?
In August.
Okay, in August.
It's gonna be here for about a month.
Where they putting it at? Where's it
being put outside the town hall?
Oh, okay.
I shall look out for that come the time. Yeah, definitely.
All right, blessings, Brian. Give thanks.
Yeah, everybody, bless. Take care.
Respect.
Respect.